Today we're going to review the Tag Heuer Aquaracer. This is a new version that comes with a tortoiseshell pattern resin bezel insert material and what looks to be alligator, which is a complete faux pas, right, on a sporty dive watch that's meant to be used in water. But it's not actually alligator. This is a vulcanized rubber, very substantial and supple with a deployant buckle here, push button release buckle. And you guys will notice there are no pinholes or set lengths for adjustment. So you slide the strap in and out with this buckle and get the exact precise length of travel that you need for your wrist. So I look at this and, it kind of screams faux pas. Like there is a bezel insert material that I associate with Italian sunglasses, right? A fashion accessory. And then I look and see visually an alligator strap with a dive watch. So I look at this and everything says this is a taboo watch traditionally, right? But there is something quirky and attractive about it. And I would not have thought of this combination as a watch designer if I was working on an Aquaracer. So I want to say kudos to Tag Heuer for thinking outside the box and bringing something kind of fresh to this watch market, specifically this price segment between the $2,000 and the $3,000 price range, which is really saturated with some pretty awesome watches from various brands from Switzerland, from Japan, from Germany, micro brands. There are some luxury micro brands out there that are doing good stuff. So as a whole, I think this Aquaracer is really interesting. And I want to thank Richard of Saltzman's Watches for lending this in for a presentation. Saltzman's is a supporter of my channel. They lend in Tag, Breitling, Oris, G-Shock, Citizen, various brands occasionally throughout the month, and I get to create content on some really awesome watches. So I'm really happy. Thank you, Richard, for lending this in. There is a version available with a blue tortoise print resin bezel insert, blue teak texture dial on a blue vulcanized rubber strap that looks like alligator. So there are some definite fun options. And the Aquaracer is one of my favorite offerings from Tag Heuer. I would say my favorite would be the Monaco. I just love the quirky retro design. I think it's a really great watch, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. The Aquaracer, on the other hand, I think has a broad appeal to the mass market. Every time I do an Aquaracer review, it usually gets tens of thousands of views. And that just doesn't happen on a watch that doesn't have general appeal. It doesn't have a following people aren't interested in. So this definitely is a popular watch, and I think for good reason. At the price segment that they sell at, you get quite a bit. It's not industry leading in my opinion, but the detail work, the build quality, the wrist presence, it's all very appropriate. And so I do recommend the Aquaracer to those of you that are shopping for a solid Swiss diver. You want to spend over $2,000 and you want to get something nice. Maybe you've looked at the Longines Hydro Conquest, or you've looked at the Oris Aquas or Diver 65 or the Manta Ocean King. Maybe you've been looking at some Zen offerings or, the Marine Master 300 for Seiko. This one is one of the top options out there, and it does get some hate from the watch community, which I think is rather silly because everybody I know that's handled this watch or owned this watch has come away impressed with what you get. Tag Heuer, you can get great discounts from the authorized dealer. You can find steal of a deal pre-owned on the secondary market. So it gets criticism because of its price, but that's not the whole story because you generally spend far less than the retail price and you enjoy a very fun sporty watch on wrist. So let's talk dimensions and details. I'll give you guys some wrist shots here. It's very substantial at 43.6 in overall dimension, diameter wise, 50.1 lug to lug. But the thing that I like is the 12.7 millimeter overall height. This is on par with my Rolex Submariner, which is really one of my favorite watches, very comfortable. It's one of the best diver options out there if you can buy one at retail price. I know that's kind of a difficult thing to do. So I like the thin profile, and side by side, you can see it has some similarities to the Submariner when it comes to the dominant stance and nature of the lugs and how large the markers and hands are. So it is obviously a bigger wearing watch than a sub. It has more wrist presence. It has a really powerful stance on wrist. And if you like watches that are kind of statement pieces, I think you'll really enjoy the Aquaracer. If you like watches that have a more diminutive fit, that fly more under the radar, possibly more comfortable depending on your sport watch preferences, I think you should look into the 41 millimeter variation. But I will say, I do not know if Tag Heuer is actively producing the 41 millimeter version. I know that they have older logos and a lot of the offerings are out of stock on their website. So I don't know, they could be discontinuing it. They could just be moving through their remaining stock. But at least at the time of recording this video in December of 2020, there are some 41 millimeter versions available from the factory. And that is definitely a nice option for those of you that have smaller wrists or smaller sport watch preferences. Let's talk about good elements, and then we'll go into the negative elements as we wrap up this presentation. I love the dial detail work here. We have a plank texturized dial with a reflective finish, hint of a sun ray, nice tidy printing, and very dominant faceted polished applied markers, deep filled with 2 different compounds of Superluminova C1 mixed with BGW9. I always enjoy seeing a bicolor lume application. And with the amount of luminous material here, we have great potency, great longevity in low light. And it really is one of the highlights of this watch. It really looks excellent in low light. And then in natural light, you guys can see the white tone, the desaturated element of the lume. So there's great contrast. And I think it's more attractive than the greenish tinge of C3, or certainly that warm, that warm divisive look of old radium Superluminova. And the other thing that I really enjoy about this is the tactile feel of the bezel. So first, let's actually look at the aesthetics. We have a angular, I don't know how exactly to classify this, but there's an angular grip here, alternating between vertical brushing and high polishing. There are some tabs, so we have a polygonal shape on the outer edge of the bezel, so there's nice grip, nice travel for your fingers. And then as you turn the bezel, it is surprisingly, I guess you could say, easy to turn. There's not a lot of torque needed to make the position adjustments between the 120 clicks. And so it has a nice sound. And I'm editing in a clip of this right up next to my dynamic microphone so you guys can get an accurate sense of the mechanical feel or sound of the bezel action. I think it's really nice. There's just maybe a touch, well, actually there is no backplay once it's in position, but again, it is rather loose in between the positions. So it has just kind of a surprising feel that I find satisfying. So I like that. Let's talk about the not so good elements or the negative elements. I've been very positive and favorable on the whole with the Aquaracer, but I think there are 2 warts that should be mentioned here. The first one is with this price of $2,700 full retail. Again, that's, not the whole story, but with that price, I would like to see a bracelet. Because if you look at the other offerings of the Aquaracer, specifically the really cool looking green dialed version with the green ceramic bezel with the bracelet, that is $2,750 full retail. So really only a $50 premium between the two. And I recognize this is a nice strap, very, very comfortable, completely waterproof, completely adjustable, so there's technically nothing wrong with it. But if I feel like I'm maximizing my value as a watch enthusiast, I want to see a bracelet. And the Aquaracer bracelet is substantial, it's thick, it's well constructed, and I don't want to have to buy a separate bracelet and spend however much that costs in addition to, whatever I pay for this watch. So if I want to maximize the value, I would like to see a stock bracelet option available from Tag Heuer for only that $50 premium. I think that's bringing the value to the table. And that's one of the things that I like about the Aquaracer. It is more expensive, but for the price that you're paying, it is a very solid watch that does have decent value, especially when you're comparing it to other competitors in the strong price segment that it sits in. Now, the last negative element, and I don't even know if I should mention this, but with the last Aquaracer that I owned, I opened it up. I had my certified watchmaker open it up. I got the pressure test afterward and all of that. But you guys can see the movement is the caliber 5. This is an ETA 2824-2. And it's, very tastefully executed here, very well dialed in, but it's set within a plastic movement holder or spacer, which I recognize, the polymer, it's lightweight. You don't want to add too much weight to an already hefty watch, but there's just something cheap feeling about getting plastic in a luxury product, a sport watch. So I recognize why it's there. And I'm assuming Tag Heuer has not changed the way they produce the Aquaracer. So it's likely found in this tortoiseshell pattern resin special version, this new release. And there's just something in the back of my mind that I don't appreciate about the plastic spacer. So those are the negative elements. On the whole, I think this is a very strong offering, very nice wrist presence, great detail work, and again, very just a combination that I would not have thought to do, but there is something attractive, unique, and interesting, alluring about the faux alligator and the very hard resin material that's going to be very difficult to scratch, but aesthetically is visually just fun to look at. So guys, let me know if you have any questions about the Aquaracer. Thank you for taking the time to watch this review. Reach out. You can contact me in the comment section, or my private email is found in the About section of my YouTube page. So again, thanks guys. Reach out with questions, and I'll see you next time.